Okay, we're on chapter 15, Christmas Demon. Dillard pulled into the driveway and shut off the engine. He took the plastic bag open, peered in at the gloves, the duct tape, the knife, and the ball-peen hammer he'd taken from the general's shop. From the general's shop. At the hat and screwdriver from Jesse's truck. At the wad of hair he'd plucked from the brush he'd found in the glove compartment. Enough evidence to place Jesse at both crime scenes. Dillard knew investigators would dig much further once they had all the pieces, and he planned on making it really easy to find all the pieces. Dillard took a moment to gaze at the white Christmas lights illuminating his front porch, sparkling across the snow and ice, at the pretty evergreen wreath perched on his red front door, a picture-perfect Christmas scene. They're in there, waiting. They're in there waiting. Got no idea what's heading their way. He'd killed plenty of people over the years. Some died easy, some died bad. But regardless, once the act was done, he'd never felt much of anything. Things were different with Ellen. Not a single day passed that he didn't think of her. Would it be the same with Linda? He didn't think so. He loved Linda, but he could never love anyone like Ellen. He felt that, with time, Linda's ghost would fade and he'd move on. He hoped so, because this wouldn't be a clean execution-style death. Their deaths would have to match those at the general's compound, would have to look like the work of an enraged, jealous spouse, the sort of thing just might haunt a man. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, tried to turn his feelings off. Linda would no longer be the woman he'd made love to, nor Abigail the little girl he'd made smile and giggle. Once he walked in that door, they were meat, to be bled and cut up. He exhaled, opened his eyes, plucked the plastic bag off the seat, and got out of the car. Try not to feel, he told himself as he strolled up the stone path. Try not to feel. He eased the front door open and stepped quietly inside. He found 3 grocery sacks stacked along the wall, Linda's and Abigail's clothes folded neatly within the 2 plastic garbage bags, with the dolls Jesse had given Abigail along with the rest of the things they'd brought over. The fact that she was gathering their things to leave bothered him less than the fact that she was paying no heed to his warnings. Her disregard only confirmed to him that she shouldn't be trusted, that he was doing the right thing, doing what he had to do. The sound of the television drifted out from the living room, and he caught Linda's voice talking to Abigail. Good, he thought, they're together. He threw the bolt behind him and slid the bags in front of the door. He knew it wouldn't keep anyone in. He just wanted something to slow a person down, say, if they were in a real hurry to leave for some reason. He walked down the short hall, past the bathroom on his left, and then into the living room. The living room contained a small dining room area, separated from the kitchen by a bar-style counter. Abigail sat in one of the stools, her back to him, playing with her two dolls. Linda stood in the kitchen, fixing something on the stove. She caught sight of him and stared. Her eyes turned cold, and she looked away. So you got your things packed, Dillard said. Abigail stopped playing and looked over at him. No trace of her usual joyful smile. She glanced anxiously at her mother. I would like my keys back, please, Linda said. She sounded tired and drained. Okay, he said, walking across the living room to the dining room. He unclipped his police radio, turned it up, and sat it on the table, wanting to be sure he didn't miss any calls on Jesse. He set the plastic bag down next to it and dug her keys out of his pocket, dropping them on the table. Linda went about fixing Abigail a grilled cheese, keeping her back to him, going out of her way not to look at him. Dillard leaned over and slipped the locking pin into the sliding glass door, another precaution should things get out of hand. He glanced out upon his backyard. A hint of sunset still outlined the hilltops. He owned close to 5 acres, backing up to the river. His nearest neighbor was Tomsey through the woods to the south. Between the forest and old Tomsey being near death, between the forest and old Tomsey being near death, he wasn't too worried anyone would hear any screaming. Dillard knew he should get this show on the road, that every minute he spent was one more minute someone could come along and discover the slaughterhouse over at the General's, or that Jesse might show up somewhere in town. But he found the next step much harder than he expected. He watched Linda flip the grilled cheese in the skillet, stared at the back of her head, at her beautiful hair, and imagined the look on her face when the first blow landed. The pain, the confusion, the horror. He would have to live with that for the rest of his life. He clenched his jaw. No, not the time to get weak. He picked up the plastic bag and headed back to the hall and into the bathroom. He emptied his bladder, then stripped down to only his socks. Footprints in the blood could be used the same as fingerprints. It would be easier to just burn the socks later. He didn't worry about his DNA evidence. It was his house. They'd be expecting that. But blood was a different matter. If he planned on matching the brutality of the murders at the General's place, then there'd be plenty of blood, and he had to make sure none of it got on his clothes. He stacked the clothes, his watch, his shoes on the floor next to the sink. After he was done killing the girls and planting Jesse's evidence, he would shower, then come back down to dress. He opened the sack, pulled out the gloves, slipped them on, then took out the ball-peen hammer. Figured that'd be the right tool to start with. He'd hit Linda hard, but not too hard, just enough to knock her down, maybe a kneecap next, something to keep her from running while he took care of Abigail. Then he would get the knife and do the job right. He opened the door and stepped out of the bathroom, the cool air tingling against his nakedness. "Meat," he whispered. "They're just meat." Oh.